Freddie Mercury. The man, the myth, the rock and roll renegade whose voice soared higher than his cheekbones and whose antics made the tabloids look like a toddler's doodles. He redefined diva status with a stage presence that was part genius, part did he really just do that? And 100% over the top. Today we're diving headfirst into everything gloriously wrong with none other than Freddie Mercury. Sorry to interrupt, but Freddie Mercury thinks it's a kind of magic. What is? Subscribing, of course. Born to shock, not to follow. Freddie Mercury didn't exactly have the classic rock star upbringing. Born Farrokh Bulsara in Zanzibar to strict Parsi parents, the last thing they expected from their son was a flamboyant rock icon. They dreamed of a respectable career. Doctor, engineer, the boring stuff. But Freddie? He wasn't about that life. He wasn't about blending into the crowd. Oh no, he wanted to make a statement. So in true rebellious fashion, he ditched his boring birth name like last season's fashion and rebranded himself as Freddie Mercury, because who wouldn't want to be named after the Roman god of speed and messages, right? And just like that, he was set to take the world by storm, like a firecracker in a library. But here's the thing, Freddie's rebellion wasn't about finding himself. It was about trying to stand out, loudly, in the most obnoxious way possible. Was it genius? Maybe. Was it about making a statement? Absolutely. But at what cost? Mediocrity? Never heard of it. 6 minutes of musical chaos. Oh, Bohemian Rhapsody. A song so long that you could have made a sandwich while waiting for it to end. And sure, it's iconic now, but let's not kid ourselves. When it first came out, radio execs were absolutely begging for a version that didn't feel like a full-on opera. But Freddie? He was like, this song is 6 minutes of brilliance, and if you don't like it, tough luck. It wasn't just a rock song. It was a chaotic masterpiece that blended rock, opera, and a pinch of, what the hell am I even listening to? It's the kind of self-indulgence that only someone like Freddie Mercury could get away with. Critics called it pretentious, but Freddie, as usual, was all like, yeah, it's long and weird, but guess what? It's my art. Deal with it. And deal with it they did, even if it meant being stuck in an awkward radio limbo with 6 minutes of musical chaos taking over the airwaves. Was it a risk? Yes. Was it a genius move? Well, that depends on whether you like hearing a rock song morph into an opera without warning. When the mic stand became the real star of Live Aid 1985. Queen, Freddie, the world watching. And a mic stand collapsing. In the face of technical disaster, you would expect anyone to panic, not Freddie. Instead of having a moment where a mic failure was an embarrassment, Freddie took that moment and turned it into the highlight of the show. Like any true diva, he didn't just pick up the fallen mic stand. Oh no. Freddie turned it into the showpiece, handling it with the grace of a rock god. The audience, they were living for it as Freddie carried on like nothing happened, proving once again that even in disaster, Freddie wasn't just surviving, he was stealing the spotlight. But let's be real for a second. Was it an act of brilliance or a diva moment that ended up getting more attention than the actual performance? Freddie wasn't just delivering a concert that night, he was performing with a capital P. When the mic stand became the star of the show, you knew it was about Freddie Mercury more than Queen. Have you seen the Live Aid concert? Let me know down below. That mustache. Let's talk about Freddie's mustache. This wasn't just any mustache, it was a bold statement, one that turned his image on its head. Before 1980, Freddie had this pristine babyface charm, and then, bam! He drops a thick, aggressive mustache on us like it's a surprise party we didn't ask for. Was it an artistic choice, or just an identity crisis? Freddie, ever the master of unpredictability, took what had been his flawless face and replaced it with a patch of hair that made everyone stop and go, what the hell? Fans were in shock, critics lost their minds, and the world collectively held its breath. But did Freddie care? Absolutely not. He wore that mustache like a badge of honor, as if saying, I'm redefining myself, and this is the symbol. Was it a genius move? Hardly. But it was Freddy doing what Freddy did best, making a bold, ridiculous statement and making the world deal with it. And let's be real, it was one of those moments that, once you got over the initial shock, became just another classic Freddy move. Partying like there's no tomorrow. Freddy didn't throw parties, he created events. Case in point, his infamous 39th birthday bash in 1985, which will go down in history as one of the most chaotic, extravagant parties of the 80s. Champagne fountains? Check. Dwarves? Check. White powder everywhere? Check. Freddy wasn't just celebrating another year of life, he was throwing caution and good taste out the window. Critics called it reckless, over the top, and just plain excessive. And you know what? They were right. But here's the thing. Freddy didn't care. He wasn't there for subtlety. He was there to make sure everyone knew this was how rock stars live. In his world, moderation wasn't just a suggestion, it was a sin. Every element of that party was a flex on social norms, a loud declaration that Freddie Mercury doesn't do things halfway. It wasn't just a party, it was a spectacle. And when you're Freddie Mercury, why would you settle for anything less? When disco crashed the party. In 1982, Freddie Mercury decided it was time to shake things up with Hot Space, Queen's ill-fated dive into the world of disco. And let me tell you, rock fans did not know what hit them. If you thought Queen's classic sound couldn't be turned upside down, think again. Freddie led the charge in the most audacious way possible, blending rock anthems with funky, danceable beats that made purists clutch their pearls. Critics were in a frenzy, accusing Freddie of betraying the band's roots and betraying rock itself. But did Freddie care? Of course not. He didn't care about upset fans or angry critics. He was there to make a statement. Was it a bold move? Yes. Did it work? Well, that's debatable. But Freddie's willingness to break barriers, even at the cost of his band's reputation, was quintessential Freddie. Unapologetic and never afraid to piss people off for the sake of his own vision. Pure, unfiltered chaos on stage. Freddie's live performances were not just concerts. They were full-on, unhinged chaos. The man didn't just perform, he destroyed the stage. From impromptu moments of humor to spontaneous, unpredictable antics, Freddie was the rock star who couldn't help but turn every show into a circus. Whether it was carrying his drummer Roger Taylor on his back or cracking jokes that had the crowd in stitches, Freddie took every opportunity to make sure his concerts weren't just about the music. They were about him. Now, some might say this was part of his genius, but honestly, sometimes it was just a lack of preparation and professionalism. Every glitch, every malfunction was turned into a moment of showmanship. Sure, it kept the crowd entertained, but at the expense of actually executing a polished performance. But again, who needs polish when you've got Freddie Mercury's magic on stage? Genius on the fly? Freddie Mercury's songwriting process was, for lack of a better term, chaotic. He didn't plan meticulously. He didn't work tirelessly on lyrics. Nope, Freddie wrote songs on the fly, scribbling down lyrics minutes before hitting the studio. Sometimes it worked. Sometimes it was pure magic. Other times, not so much. It was less brilliant mind at work and more, let's see what happens when we throw ideas at the wall and hope they stick. Critics often lauded Freddie's ability to create masterpieces in a moment of inspiration. But let's face it, sometimes it was just luck. Sure, he had a knack for turning last-minute thoughts into chart-topping hits, but is that really the mark of genius, or just someone winging it? Sometimes Freddie's best work came from pure spontaneity, but that doesn't mean he didn't leave a lot of chaos in his wake. The fake nun incident. Let's talk about Freddie Mercury's need for attention. Case in point, the time he showed up to a private party dressed as a nun. Was it quirky? Sure. Was it an epic prank? Maybe. But honestly, it was just another moment in Freddie's career where he did something completely ridiculous for no reason other than to be the center of attention. Some saw it as a clever commentary on religious norms. Others saw it for what it was. Just Freddie being Freddie, looking for a headline. There was no deeper meaning here. It was just a stunt, a way for Freddie to turn heads and keep the world's eyes fixed on him. It wasn't profound. It was just classic Freddie, doing something for the sake of being noticed. Again. The feline obsession. While most rock stars were busy smashing guitars and making headlines for their wild behavior, Freddie was off cuddling with his feline companions, talking about them like they were his only true friend. This wasn't just some quirky hobby though. It became a core part of Freddie's identity. Fans either found it endearing or downright weird. But Freddie didn't care. He was more focused on his relationship with cats than, well, with people. Was it cute? Maybe. Was it normal? Not really. It's like Freddie couldn't get enough of being the rock star who didn't just break boundaries. He had to have an obsession with cats that would make any sane person question his sanity. Was it an endearing quirk? Sometimes. But more often, it felt like Freddie needed that bizarre fixation to remind everyone just how different he was. Even divas have off days. Despite his overwhelming confidence, Freddie Mercury was not immune to self-doubt. In fact, there were times when he questioned whether he could fill the stadiums or if his voice was truly enough to carry the weight of the world. But instead of acknowledging his vulnerability, Freddie turned that insecurity into fuel. When things weren't going well, he would double down and put even more passion into his performances. That's the thing with Freddie. He didn't have off days in the traditional sense. He used them to reinforce his diva persona, amplifying every ounce of drama and spectacle. But let's be real. If Freddie spent more time working through his self-doubt instead of demanding perfection from his crew, maybe some of his more volatile moments could have been avoided. But where's the fun in that, right? Fashion overkill. Freddie Mercury's wardrobe was more than just flamboyant. It was insane. From glittering jumpsuits to studded leather jackets, Freddie went out of his way to dress like a walking art exhibit. But sometimes it felt like he was trying way too hard. His fashion choices were so over the top that even Liberace would have said, tone it down a bit. The bright colors, the sequins, the ruffles. It wasn't just fashion. It was a full-on performance in itself. Was it original? Sure. Was it stylish? That's up for debate. Was it excessive? Absolutely. Freddie wore his wardrobe like a shield, but sometimes it came across more as a distraction than a true fashion statement. He wasn't just trying to make a statement with his music. He was trying to make a statement with his clothes, too. The legend behind the curtain. Freddie Mercury may have been a rock god on stage, but behind the curtains, he was a nightmare. His perfectionism was legendary, and not in a good way. He would demand last-minute costume changes, scrutinize every minute detail of his performances, and throw tantrums if things didn't go as planned. It wasn't just about the music. It was about ensuring that Freddie Mercury's vision was executed exactly as he saw it. Was it necessary? Probably not. But in Freddie's world, every detail had to be perfect, and if that meant causing chaos behind the scenes, so be it. His diva tendencies weren't just for show. They were a way of making sure the world saw Freddie as the one and only. And if that meant being a pain in the ass to everyone around him, then so be it. Perfectionism at its finest. The circus of coverage. From the moment Freddie Mercury hit the scene, the media circus went into full overdrive. Every interview, every performance, every outrageous outfit became tabloid fodder. It was less about Freddie and more about the narrative the media wanted to create. Every time Freddie stepped out of the house, it felt like the press was following him around with a magnifying glass, dissecting every single move. Was Freddie's life his own? Or was it just another reality show made for public consumption? While it helped build his legend, it also created a false narrative that was more about the spectacle than the man. Freddie didn't just live his life, he lived it under constant surveillance, where even the smallest mishap was turned into something bigger than it was. The circus coverage didn't just follow him, it defined him. The digital resurrection. Freddie Mercury passed away in 1991, but the internet brought him back to life. With every meme, every tribute, every viral video, Freddie's legacy was turned into a digital phenomenon. Was it flattering? Sure. Was it respectful? Well, that's a matter of opinion. The internet turned Freddie's larger-than-life moments into clickable, digestible content, reducing his brilliance to bite-sized clips and hashtags. Did Freddie want to be remembered as a meme? Probably not. But in the age of the internet, even legends get recycled into a never-ending loop of nostalgia and viral moments. The digital age has ensured that Freddie's most ridiculous antics and legendary performances are immortalized for new generations. But let's be honest, it's less about remembering his art and more about watching that video of him in his outrageous outfits for the 100th time. And there you have it. Everything wrong with Freddie Mercury. In the end, he was a man who rewrote the rulebook on rock stardom, with a voice that could shatter glass and a personality big enough to fill stadiums. But behind the glam, the chaos, and the extravagant mustache, Freddie was a walking contradiction. Equal parts genius and diva, brilliance and disaster. Whether he was giving the world Bohemian Rhapsody or partying like there was no tomorrow, one thing is for sure. Freddie left a mark on music history that will never fade. What do you think about Freddie Mercury? Let me know down below. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video.